Today on Apocalypse Auto, we take this 1996 Crown Victoria Police Interceptor along with the War Child and the Fiero buggy, and we drive down to California so we can check out this old ghost town and the War Child can do what it does best. So if you guys saw the last episode of Apocalypse Auto, we were working on Shane's 87 Fiero, and in this episode we're going to finish this thing up, and we're going to introduce you to our buddy Tyler and his 1996 Crown Victoria. He got this thing for $1,000, and he used to baby this car, but that all ended in 2016 when we went down to Wasteland Weekend for the first time, and then he realized this Crown Vic would be the perfect candidate for a post-apocalyptic cop car. So what's more perfect than returning this retired police car back into action? So the first thing we did was scrub off the clear coat on this Crown Victoria so we could hit it with some black rattle can paint. So after painting Tyler's Crown Vic so that it looked like a police car, to make it look like it had survived the apocalypse meant that we had to do some distressing to the paint job we just did. So Tyler pulled out the angle grinder and went to town. And then to help speed up the process of rusting, you just hit the bare metal with some hydrogen peroxide and some white vinegar. And when the angle grinder wasn't doing enough damage, Tyler grabbed the axe. So after adding some paint to this Crown Victoria and then removing some paint, Tyler knew of a semi-truck graveyard and he wanted to go check it out so we could pick up some accessories for his apocalyptic cop car. So after wandering around the labyrinth of semi-truck cabs, Tyler found a couple rad additions to the cop car, including this window visor and this awesome Mack truck hood emblem. But that wasn't all that Tyler found. He also got a hold of these 2 truck grill guards. So we went over to meet Wayne and Shane at the shop so we could start getting ready for our upcoming trip down to California.
Alright, let's just pull this one down. Let's just take this thing around front so I can see how it looks. Go around there, but that's not gonna work.
So as Tyler and I were trying to figure out how to attach these grill guards to the bumpers on the Crown Vic, Shane was finishing up beautifying his Fiero. And what does that mean? Adding more metal and rust.
Pretty solid there, Wayne. Man, look. It's not a trampoline, dude. That's pretty rad. What do you weigh, Wayne? Like $120?
170.
God, you fatty.
So as Shane was finishing up the roof rack and the bumpers on the Fiero, Tyler and I were chopping up the sun visor so that it would fit onto the front of the Crown Vic. And then we backed it into the shop so Wayne could help us securely attach these bumper guards to the Crown Vic. So that meant the first thing we had to do was bust out the plasma cutter and cut this thing down to size.
He looks like somebody from a jet fighter. Yeah, he looks like somebody from Tron. Watch out! Nikes!
Man, it looks better already.
Get your back wheels on the cement. A little bit more. Right there.
And after that, we had to weld some brackets onto the grill guard so that we could drill some holes through the steel bumper on the Crown Vic and then run some bolts through it to attach the grill guard that way. And then the front bumper was even easier. We didn't even have to make brackets for it. Just drill some holes and put some big old bolts through it. So as we're finishing up the work on the Crown Vic and the Fiero, it's time for me to let you in on some news. Last year after Wasteland Weekend, we were approached by a producer who was making an apocalyptic movie called Smoothies. And he wanted to use the War Child for a scene in his movie where it smashes through a couple cars. So the plan was to head down to California a few days before Wasteland Weekend so we could go to Darwin, California, which was an old mining town but is all but forgotten now. So after loading up the Fiero onto a trailer along with all the other stuff we're going to need for Wasteland Weekend, me and Wayne got ready to set out bright and early. And then Tyler and Shane, who both had to work on the day that we left, were going to catch up to the War Child in the Crown Vic because the War Child only goes about 60 miles an hour, which makes for one long road trip.
Once you get to $100, they always turn off the pump.
What did it fill us up to?
Still not at full.
Of course not.
Oh man. Here we go again. Wasn't it rainy and crappy last time when we left?
So now that we're on the War Child for the long haul, let me show you one of the new additions to the bus. We got this sweet backup camera, so on the 1,100 mile drive down to California, we could keep an eye on the Fiero. And since it was a beautiful autumn day in Montana, that meant it was about 2 minutes away from snowing.
We're coming in hot.
So after a couple hundred miles, we pulled over to check on the trailer and make sure everything was settling okay. And it was a good thing we did because one of the straps on the back of the Fiero had come loose.
How's she looking? Everything's tight. Oh shit, dude. Good thing we pulled over. I had a feeling.
So, after tightening everything down on the trailer, it was time to head to Idaho.
Watch for changing road conditions. That is just classic. Thank you, Montana. Somebody's dinging us. We're doing 45. Yup.
Yeah, look, check us out on Facebook, dude. Apocalypse Auto. Yeah, look it up on YouTube. You can watch the bus smash cars, so. Hell yeah, it was nice talking to you, man.
So after driving for what felt like an eternity, we hadn't even made it out of Idaho yet. But after driving halfway through the night, Tyler and Shane had finally caught up to us in the Crown Vic, so we decided it was time to crash for the night so we could get up early in the morning and head on into Nevada. So after getting a good night's rest, the next morning it seemed that the war child was a little bit tired, and she just didn't want to start.
Oh, come on, baby.
So after tinkering with the war child for a little while and swapping the battery out of Tyler's Crown Vic, we finally got her running.
Yeah, he's totally checking it out. This guy pulled over too, dude. He's coming back for seconds too. Yeah.
So as we were cruising along from Idaho into northern Nevada, the war child seemed to be running fine until we were climbing this big hill, and then it sputtered and came to a stop. So Wayne and Shane had to jump under the hood to try to figure out what was going on.
We think it was arcing over.
And after rummaging around the engine for a little bit, they figured out that our ignition coil had gone bad. So me and Tyler jumped in the Crown Vic and had to drive from northern Nevada back into Idaho to go pick up the parts that we needed. And then Wayne and Shane had some side of the road surgery to do, but then we were back on the road.
Clutch.
Huh.
Before I couldn't touch the gas with
Wow.
getting it there.
Well, let's not waste them. Let's go.
Look at them. Look at how fast they're going.
Let's go get him.
So after cruising a couple hundred miles through Nevada, we were just about to cross over the border into California, so we had to pull over and grab some provisions before we headed into the desert, and then we were going to be pulling an all-nighter because we had to be in Darwin, California in 12 hours.
The Red Bull. These are being saved for when I have to drive the bus. That Red Bull is very important. I got 2 of them. I could be up for 2 days now. Oh wow, the sunset is pretty rad. It's really bright, I can't even look at it.
Shane, what?
Were you guys trying to say something earlier?
No.
Oh, our CB was making a bunch of weird noises.
So it Dude,
Yeah, so was
it
ours.
was coming through the stereo, dude.
It
Aliens.
was coming through my stereo and like making my subs freak out.
Dude, aliens, dude.
Alien!
Dude!
What we're saying is aliens. Everybody agrees it's aliens.
There's definitely aliens. Whoa, dude, that interferes with the radio.
So after taking driving shifts all throughout the night, we had each only got about 3 or 4 hours of sleep when we finally rolled into Darwin, and then it was time to go find who was in charge and go check out the spot they were going to be filming The War Child. And after driving around this crazy old ghost town, we could see why they were using this spot to film their post-apocalyptic movie. And as the production crew was setting up the War Child for her big moment, we all decided it was time to wander around and see what Darwin, California had to offer us. So Darwin is a little abandoned mining town in the middle of the Mojave Desert in California. And it was settled in 1874 when they discovered silver and lead in the hills around the town. Where there still is a few people that live around, and they still do a little bit of mining here. This place is all but forgotten, which makes this town the absolute perfect place to film a post-apocalyptic movie. There's just all these old shanties left behind by all the miners, and they have completely succumbed to the environment out here. The roofs have all turned to dust, and they even have plants growing inside. But after wandering around and checking out all these crazy old abandoned houses, it was finally time for the War Child's big moment. They backed the War Child up, and she was gonna come in and take out this truck. And after successfully taking out this truck, the next scene was going to be the War Child driving down through the ghost town and then ramming through a barricade made of old steel drums and leftover cars. But unfortunately, we're not allowed to show you this crash. So make sure to go down into the link in the description and follow us on Facebook. So when the movie Smoothies comes out, you all will be the first to know. So as this crazy chapter of our road trip down to California comes to a close, we're not even close to done. Because as soon as we get done with this film shoot, we gotta go down, hook up the trailer back to the bus, and then we got another 300 miles to California City, California, where our favorite festival, Wasteland Weekend, is just moments away from starting. So, if you like what we're trying to do on this channel, go down into the link in the description and check out our Apocalypse Auto shop. And until next time, thank you all so much for watching.
Bye, Darwin, California. Doubt I'll ever see you again.
Yeah, I don't ever plan on ever coming back here.
Unless they make a sequel to Scrubbers. Scrubbers 2, The Search for More Air.
Right.